No, first of all, good victory for us. Hadn't had that in a while, and you can walk around very sullen and downtrodden, but that's a good football team we played. But we got a victory out of that. A lot of things we have to improve upon, and but knowing that, we have another opportunity here next week again against a very good Boise State team coming in Friday night. But as I said, I always say to Coach Laycock, mentor of mine, really good friend, is a well-coached football team. They had a lot of good players there that made some things happen for them. I'm proud of our players, too, that performed and made some things happen for us that allowed us to put us in a position to win a game today. And so that's what's important, is getting that W. I'll take any questions.
I know you scouted William & Mary from his first game. Did you think its offense would give your defense as much trouble as it did?
I know that they did a great job of executing, doing a lot of formation shifts and motions and things like that, very somewhat similar to what Notre Dame was doing, similar to what we'll see as the season goes on, the style of offense like that, and they did a great job of executing. And, the first part of it, we had difficulty trying to stop. And in the second half, I believe they were a successive number of 3-and-outs. So, again, we have to perform better. But again, that's a good football team that executed better than what we did.
Mike, on the 19-play drive they had that stopped at the 1, I believe, or the 2, it looked like there was some personnel confusion there. Did you have 10 guys on the field on a couple of those plays?
I'll have to go back and look at that if we did, and that's our error. That's a coaching error. The substitutions that have to go in, multiple personnel groupings. You got to get the right guys in the game at the right time, and that has to be addressed and make sure it doesn't happen again. I believe we stopped them on that as well. Well, I don't know. Maybe we ought to have 10 guys in there. I don't know.
Mike, you talked for last week or more about finishing. Do you feel you finished today? I mean, you won the game, but do you feel like you should have put them away a little easier than that? Once you get up by 13.
Yeah, you always want to kind of put the finishing touches on it. You want to run away, with the victory. You want to have a chance to play a lot of guys and things like that. But as I said, they play football as well. The finishing part of it is that we finished and made a play in the very last play of the game there in order to give us the possession back. So when you talk about finishing, that's a big part of it. You would like to, like I said, have played perhaps more players. But, again, they played a good game. And it's up to us to make sure that we do the things that are going to allow us opportunities either to play more players or make sure that we don't make it that close when it gets down to the end like that. Yes.
Maurice Kennedy had a punt return for touchdown. That's the first one here since 2004. What went into the decision to have him returning punts the last 2 weeks, and what did you see on the return?
Well, one of the big reasons was it was T.J. Thorpe not being available, because T.J. was that guy. And Daniel Ham, as you all know, had a cast on his hand. So, Bo is very capable of doing that. He's done it before. But it was good to see that, the blocking set itself up. He was elusive enough that he, made some misses in open field, and he ran away from some guys. So, again, we wanted to try to we know we needed to have a big play in our special teams, and that was one. And there was a big play made by Alameda, but we got to continue to keep finding ways to flip the field for us. They blocked the punt, which wasn't good for us, but to have a guy return a punt for a touchdown, you're right, that hasn't happened in a long, long time, and that's something we need to continue to keep improving, because that can be a game changer, and also it's one play, and it allows you to to build momentum off of something like that.
Mike, where do you feel your defense is overall right now?
We've played 3 games, and we've lost 2, and we've won 1. And, the team scored some points on us. And you got to be able to ultimately, whatever you do, third downs, percentages, or whatever it might be, you got to keep the points down. And they had some big plays that allowed them to get some points. So we need to improve from that category of keeping points down.
would you rate the special teams in general today? You gave up a 28-yard punt return with the game on the line. You gave up an onside kick to start the second half.
Well, I mean, obviously, when you don't execute those two issues, those are negatives. But you also returned a punt for a touchdown and had another return for pretty good yards across the 50. So you want to do better in that aspect, in those aspects, and be alert and aware to what can happen to you. And they executed in those two instances. We out-executed them. But again, we have to win in that category. This team has to win in the categories as we've talked about in the past in order to be successful.
Coach, over here.
Yeah.
Talking young guys, too, in particular. Eldridge with his first career reception, big 43-yard play, and then you look at Jordan Ellis with that 39-yard burst after the Mizell run. What do you see out of those two guys?
I see promise. I see two young players that are going to get better, just get better. And, David Eldridge is a guy that we talk about taking the top off of defense. He's got pretty good vertical speed. Jordan Ellis was a tough, rugged player. I believe he probably broke about maybe 3-4 tackles on that run, which is impressive. And so it just speaks to younger players that have skill. And we need to keep finding ways to help get them ingratiate them into our offense to allow them to use those playmaker abilities.
Coach, to your left, you talked last week about the improvement from game 1 to game 2. Aside from just winning a football game, what's your thought process or I guess what are your thoughts on your improvement from game 2 to game 3?
Well, the biggest thing is we won the game, and that's always the ultimate goal. I thought offensively there were some periods in there. I think we drove the ball, probably one of the longest drives we've had since we've been here in a while to sustain the drive. That's important. We've had some explosive plays. We were talking about plays 20-plus, long gain on some throws down the field and the screen to Smoke that scored a touchdown. So there's improvement there. Obviously, there's improvement that's needed, defensively in our assignments of the style of offense that we've seen here for 2 weeks in a row. And then that has to be corrected because, as I said, Boise State is a team that does some things very similar with very high-skilled players. So, it's a short week. It's a short turnaround. So the need to get better and improve is critical for us, and that's going to be important. The next improvement from this game onto the next game.
Mike, with an offense that kind of hangs its head, wants to be like a power run identity, was it disappointing not to be able to get that first down to kind of, put the game away there with 5 minutes left? You guys go 3 and out and give them another possession.
Yeah, you always want to have success when you have those third and shorts situations. I look at the third down situations again. 7 for 12. That's been something we even have had some situations last week that we did pretty good on the third downs. But those third and shorts, obviously, you want to be able to, to punch the ball over or get the first down and seal the game or finish it off. And, they beat us to the punch, and we weren't able to do that. But, again, as I said, towards the end here, the plays that were made to allow us to experience our first W here.
Mike, was the idea today to get TJ out a little bit, get some rust off him, and assuming he came out of this fine, do you expect him to be available for more duty Friday night?
Yeah, part of that, obviously, you want him to get out and, get involved in some things. Wanted to get him out there and maybe throw some down the field throws and maybe not as much blocking, but the play that he went in, we went in on Smoke's play and he ended up blocking, so he's been cleared to play, and obviously that's a big plus for us. And so he got a few reps, and he'll play as much as he can, this upcoming week.
Speaking of Smoke, is he starting to give you some of the stuff that you've expected from him from the get-go?
Jerry, I believe he has. I believe that he's done a nice job of learning how to run the ball as a runner should, with some downhill runs. He's very talented when he catches the ball, whether it's screens or whether it's ball out in the flat. His hands, his good hands, and his ability to just make people miss. And so, sometimes these kids get caught up in the hoopla of being a 5-star early on, and they expect so much, and the outside influences expect so much. But sometimes you got to grow and develop. And I can say that Smoke has been a player that's grown and developed, his time here, and you can see it in his production and how he's playing thus far.
Coach, going back to two big plays in the second quarter, Eldridge with the 43-yard catch and Kanan with the one-hand catch next play, gave you guys your first lead of the game with 1:46 left. What did that do for you in terms of momentum going into the second half?
Well, it's always big. Anytime you have plays like that we talk about explosive plays that, David went up and got it. The defender went up and he went out jumped him. Kanan, we've seen that kind of catch before, making a catch like that. Those are always plays that, can boost the team, build the morale, change momentum, whatever it might be. And the job is to keep getting the ball to guys, like that. And so it was good to see the production. Kanan's been a guy that's been productive, but also to see the emergence of young players. As I said, we mentioned Jordan Ellis. Somebody called him Jonathan, but Jordan Ellis, Eldridge, and you see those guys that just keep figuring out a way to how to get them involved with us, and they're going to help this football team later on down the road.
How agonizing was that last Richmond drive for you when you see you think Kaiser sacks the quarterback, the ball's loose, your guys are close to it, they don't get it, and then the fourth down play where you think the game is over and then you get called for a hold. What was that like for you?
Well, agonizing. Obviously, when you see things, you want things to happen, for the players. And we talked about it last week about the tough loss, the last second loss. This time, with all that being said, there were plays that were made that allowed us to come out on the winning edge of it. And so, as I said, we talked about, in that locker room, we won a football game today, and that's important. It's important for this team, the program. It wasn't pretty. There were some good things about it, and obviously there were things that weren't so good. And now the next opportunity to get ready to play and perform again is against a highly rated or highly touted team here on Friday night.